Hi besties, welcome to Vicky's Signature. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to cut this beautiful gown you are seeing on your screen and how to also sew it. So I made use of this bead. I made use of these two bead, and then this is a thick crepe fabric. It is 2.5 yards, and then this white one, it is half yard. So at the end of the day, it will be enough. And this bead, I got it for 2,000 naira, this smaller one for 500 naira. So the bead and the fabric we have will be enough for this project. So let's quickly do the pattern and then we'll place it and start our main business. So I already demarcated the pattern. This is the front and then this is the back. So next thing we'll have to do is to put our shoulder to bust point. The shoulder to bust point I have is 9.5. Shoulder to my client under bust is 12.5. Shoulder to my client waistline is 16 inches, sorry. So I put the measurement on the both side, and then I use my stretch rule to connect the lines together. So guys, after connecting the lines together, I went ahead to also mark out the measurement of the back. The back measurement is not same as the front. So the shoulder to the waistline of my client for the back is 14.5. That is to say, it is short by 1.5 inches because the front has breast and the back doesn't have. I believe we understand why the front is shorter. Why the back is shorter, right? So the difference between the front and the back in this case is 1.5, and it is that 1.5 we'll be using for our bust darts, right? So I just went ahead to connect the line together like so. Now next thing that I have to do is to label the line, the waistline, the under bust, and then the bust point line. So I'll go ahead to put my shoulder measurement divided by 2. So here is 7.5 inches. I'll put it on the two side and then I'll connect them together. So this is me trying to do my armhole curve. So after connecting it together, can you see I didn't connect it down because I don't know where the measurements will stop yet. So for this connection that I just did, I came down by 1.25 for the shoulder slope, and then I did my basic neckline of 3 by 3 inches. Use my curve to connect them together, and then from that 3 inches I went ahead to slant it to meet our shoulder slope. Now after slanting it to meet our shoulder slope, I'll come down here and measure my client's bust divided by 6. I have about 5.6. I put it and then I added 1.5 inches. So in total, what you are going to be doing for your armhole is what? Bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Anything you have, you're going to put it after you might have come down for your shoulder slope. Now I will also go to the back and do same thing. So for the back, I divided the shoulder by 2. I put it on the two side. Can you see? On the up and then the down part. After dividing it, and then I went ahead to carry the ruler to connect it together. But before then, since I already calculated the armhole for the front, I'll just go ahead to connect it. That is the chest line now for both the front and the back. Now the back calculation is going to be much easier. So I'll just go ahead to connect the line. Come here by the neckline of 1 inches and then 3 inches of width. Then I'll go ahead to use my ruler to connect them together with a curve. Now after connecting it, next thing that I have to do is to come down by 1 inches for the shoulder slope. So the back shoulder slope is 1 inches. So from that 1 inch, I'll go ahead to connect it to meet the neckline of 3 inches. So now I'll come to the front. Anything I have starting from that shoulder slope, I'll do what? I'll divide it by 2 and take the midpoint. So at the midpoint, I'll go in by 0.75, right? 0.75 is more than half inch. I believe you can read your tape. I'll go in by 0.5 inches and then I'll connect it like this. So after connecting it on that chest line, I'll put my client's bust measurement divided by 4, and then I'll use my curve to form my armhole. Now after forming my armhole, next thing that I have to do is I'll also go to the back and do same thing. I'll place my tape like so, fold it into two, get my midpoint. Yeah, this is my midpoint. So for the back, I'll be going in by half of an inch. So I went in by half. Right after going in by half, from that half I'll mark the line to meet the shoulder slope there, just as you can see. And then on that chest line, I'll put my client's bust measurements divide by 4. Then I'll use my ruler to do what? To connect the line very well. I believe we all can see it. So after connecting it, our armhole is settled. Now back to the business. We're going to be what? Taking our dart. So that is nipple to nipple divide by 4. So my client is 7 inches. So when I divided it by 4, I have 3.5 inches. But before then, let's go ahead to put our basic measurement. On the waistline, I put my client waist measurement plus 1 inches of dart, and then I'll go ahead to connect it to the chest line, that is to the bust measurement. So now the nipple to nipple that I just talked about, I'll go ahead to put the 3.5 on the waistline and also on the bust point line. Then I'll use my straight rule to connect the line together. So this is where we'll be taking our dart. I'll go out by half, come in by half. That's I'll go out by half on the two side, and then I'll connect to meet the bust point line. Now on that bust point line, I'll also come down by 1.5 inches. That 1.5 inches is the difference between our back and our front. That is our bust that I explained that earlier. Now I've taken all the darts properly. The remaining one is, now we are going to be putting our princess dart. So for the princess dart, you're going to measure the circumference of your armhole. So watch the way I measure it round. So after I measure this particular one, I have 9 inches. I'll divide it by 2, and then I'll mark the midpoint. So the midpoint is 4.5. That is where I just marked. So next thing now, we'll just have to connect it from the bust point to meet that 4.5. Then we'll go up by half, come down by half, so that we can take the dart at the armhole. So after connecting it, this is what it looks like. So this is what we call the princess dart. Now this is not a bustier. So next thing we have to do is to just go ahead to mark the dart line, increase it down from the under bust so that it can be even, so that we can see it very well. On that first line that I drew, that I took a dart of the princess dart, I'll go out by half of an inch, and then I'll connect it back to our bust measurement that we took on the chest line. So watch the way I do it. So after doing that, that is to say that you have replaced the dart you took on the armhole. So you can even go ahead and do 1 inches for the allowance. It depends on what you want, right? So that at the end of the day, any excess you can just trim it, but half inches is okay since this is not a bustier. Now for the back, I just went in by half of an inch on the waistline, and then I'll be marking 1 inch from that side till the up of the neckline. That is to say we are taking our zipper allowance. So the zipper allowance for this dress is going to be 1 inch. So I'll go ahead to connect it together like so. So why we went in by half is for us to contour the back and then let the zip relax properly. After that, we'll go ahead to extend the neckline for the back. Now we can go ahead to put our back measurement. So the back measurement is for the waist is waist divided by 4, and then you put it plus 1 inch of that intake, and you go ahead to connect it to your bust point, right? To connect it to your chest line where we took the bust measurement. Now after connecting it, it's just for us to impute our dart. So the dart is 3.5. that is your nipple to nipple divided by 4 divided by 2. So that is what I use for the front, and that is what I'll be using for the back also. So I'll go ahead to mark it down to the chest line, and then I'll connect it using half inch. Now for the back princess dart, you are not going to be taking any dart. What you have to do is to connect it from that point to meet the mid point of your armhole. I believe you understand it, because the back doesn't have a breast, so you don't need any curve. So I just go ahead to label this is the back and then this is the front. I believe we all understand down to this point. Now next thing we have to do is, we are not going to be using this 3x3 neckline. We're going to extend the neckline. So for the front, I use 4 inches for the depth, and then for the width I use 3.5, right? So that is 4/3 for the front. If you look the inspiration very well, it is a not too high and then just a moderate neck. And then for the back, I'll be maintaining that, I'll be using 3.5. that is same thing I use for the front, and then I'll use 1.5 for this, for the neck depth. So I'll go ahead to connect it. Now note, this is what I later did after the whole neckline. I came down by 2 inches from this side, and then I went ahead to curve it, because my client did not send me the back of the dress. It was after I was done drafting that she sent it, and I forgot to record that. That was why I just showed the picture now, right? By the end of the day, I'll show you a video that you are going to watch for you to learn how to do that kind of a neckline. It is not hard, right? It is not hard. Just the way you are seeing the back, you come down by 1 inches from the back neck, and then you curve it to how you want it, right? So that is just all for the back neckline. Now this is the front. I'm just going to cut it out very well. So you discover the way I fold the bust dart, right? I folded it inside very well so that it can give us our shape, and then I'll go ahead to cut the back. So it was after I was done cutting this back that I went ahead to come down from the center back by 1 inch, and then I curve it to the neckline that my clients want. I believe you all understand. So at the end of this video, I'll be showing you what